the Bedford SB of 1950, one of the most successful and numerous mid-sized buses ever built. It was so good that operators wished for a smaller version of it. Okay, well, maybe not that small. 10 years later, the new bus became a reality. But will it be as good as the SB? This is the story of the Bedford VAS, the bus that gave us the baby duple dominant, and more. Hi, this is Jeffrey. So back in 1950, Bedford introduced their new mid-sized Type SB bus and coach chassis. This chassis turned into one of the most successful mid-sized buses ever, with tens of thousands of them built. However, many operators were clamoring for a smaller scaled-down version of the SB. And in the early 1960s, Bedford provided one. But will this chassis be as successful as the SB? It's a really fascinating story, so let's get started in learning about the Bedford VAS. Bedford. A subsidiary of Vauxhall Motors, the company produced classic single-deck buses starting in 1931, including the iconic OB starting in 1939. But by the dawn of the 1950s, a newer and larger bus, both in form factor and more modern power options, was required by Bedford's many customers. Bedford's next bus, the SB, or Series Bus, launched at the 1950 Commercial Motor Show, would have a long production life, and with over 54,000 built, it was one of the most numerous and successful mid-sized buses ever. It was the first Bedford vehicle to have a forward control design, with the driver's seat located at the right of the engine and the front axle underneath. Despite the SB's success in accommodating 33 to 41 seats for interurban and touring services, operators continued to express demand for a more compact alternative suited to narrower roads, smaller fleets, and capacities of up to about 29 passengers. Bedford would address this gap by developing a new forward control chassis with an overall length limited to 23 feet 9 inches. And so, what would this new bus and coach chassis introduced in 1960 be? It was the Bedford VAS. Making its debut at the 1960 Commercial Motor Show, it was originally a bare chassis option for bodybuilders, targeting single-deck bus and coach applications with a focus on economy and versatility. Two versions were offered, with the VAS1 diesel variant and the VAS2 for petrol. The first two letters stood for the series, and S was for short. Duple coach builders and Plaxton were the leading bodybuilders specializing in luxury coaches for this new chassis in the UK market. Duple introduced the Bella Vista in 1962 as a 29-seat design tailored to the VAS, providing a compact yet comfortable touring option. By 1972, Duple's Baby Dominant series superseded earlier models, featuring an innovative all-steel framed structure fitted to VAS chassis for capacities up to 32 passengers. Plaxton's Embassy series was another prominent choice, particularly on extended VAS chassis to accommodate higher passenger loads, with the Embassy 2 offering refined styling and optional overdrive transmissions. And the Plaxton Panorama was another choice in later years. Now, let's take a look at some of the basic specifications of the Bedford VAS. Number 1, length ranged from about 23 feet 9 inches to a maximum of 25 feet 2 inches. Number 2, width is generally 7 feet 8 inches. Number 3, height is maximum of 10 feet 1 inch, but would depend upon bodybuilder and specification. Number 4, gross vehicle weight ranged from 6.5 to 6.9 tons. Number 5, passenger capacity is usually 29 to 30, but extended versions could seat up to 33. Number 6, engine for the VAS1 was a 300 cubic inch 6-cylinder Bedford diesel and was replaced in 1967 with a 330 cubic inch diesel for the VAS5. For petrol, it was originally 214 cubic inches for the VAS2 and in 1972 was replaced with a 300 cubic inch engine for the VAS3. And finally, number 7, top speed was about 55 to 65 miles per hour. There were other unusual coachwork variants for the Bedford VAS. Stuart Smith, a bus industry analyst in the 1960s, explains.
Rare variants included only 4 chassis bodied with Plaxton Embassy coaches with 33-seat layouts in 1964, delivered new to Smith of Beeston, Nottinghamshire, highlighting bespoke adaptations for smaller fleets. Other notable bodybuilders encompassed Portugal's Caetano and Marshall Coachworks, which constructed an iconic 1963 prototype featuring a lightweight aluminum body to demonstrate advanced materials in coach design. Strahans and Thurgood also furnished bodies, and Reeve Burgess and Wadham Stringer provided practical bodies, often for school bus work.
In 1967, the VAS1 was replaced by the VAS5, which used the upgraded diesel engine. A larger petrol engine offered in 1972 was Model VAS3, replacing the VAS2. In 1968, Bedford's parent company, American-based General Motors, introduced a new system of model codes, whereby VAS2 became PDK, VAS3, the PFK, and VAS5 as PJK. The VAS chassis found significant adoption in Commonwealth countries. In New Zealand, the VAS was imported extensively from the late 1960s through the early 1980s, primarily for school bus duties, often bodied by local builders like New Zealand Motor Bodies. In the end, about 4,200 VAS chassis were built and bodied. While it was only a fraction of the 54,000 SB buses and coaches, it still served a niche market and contributed to the wide array of buses in the UK and elsewhere until the last one was produced in 1987. Quite an interesting bus indeed. And so there it is, the story of the Bedford VAS. Now, while this bus was certainly not as numerous as the SB, it certainly filled a gap where it was needed. So if you have any interesting stories about the Bedford VAS, just let us know in the comments below. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at the Bedford VAS. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.